This video is a complete tutorial of the Supplier to Amazon Matcher and Profit Calculator Google Sheet system. This is based on version 3.0, which is the most recent version as of the date of this video, April 12th, 2022. The purpose of this system is to take product data from supplier websites, which are normally online stores, and then to automatically find matches of those products. In other words, find those same products on Amazon, and also allows you to gather price data in a couple of different ways, calculate costs from your supplier, and also determine an estimated profit and return on those products when being sold on Amazon. So now the first thing I will look at is what to do when you first get the copy of the file. So when you get a copy of this Google Sheet, you will notice that it says view only. It is view only because this is an original copy that is being taken from my Google Drive, and other people will also be viewing this as well. So you cannot use this copy. What you have to do is create a copy. So you will go to File, click on File on the menu, and then click Make a Copy. Once you do that, you will see Copy Of, and then the name of the system. At this point, you will then click on Make a Copy. Once you do that, you then have a copy, which will say Copy Of and the name of the Google Sheet. And if you want, you can actually change the name to whatever is suitable for you. If you want to take Copy Of out of the name, that of course always makes sense. I will take Copy Of out, and you can just close this original Google Sheet. There's no need for that Google Sheet. And so at this point, you have an instructions page, which you can just read this page and see any links or anything else that are on the page. And you will then head over to the Supplier and Amazon data, which is the main sheet where we will be working, and I'm going to show you what to do from this point. So now I will rearrange the buttons. Google Sheets does not keep the buttons locked in place the way that Excel does. And so oftentimes when you get a copy of one of these Google Sheet systems, you will see that the buttons have moved away. So what you will do is right click on the button and then use the left mouse button and just drag the buttons back into place. Again, you can just right click on a button and just drag the buttons into place. Right click on the button. The buttons do not need to be anywhere in particular. They don't need to match the way that you might see it in my videos. I just put the buttons where I think it makes sense for me. But you can put the buttons wherever you like. You just right click and just move the buttons. But I generally try to keep these above the Amazon area because I figure these are related to Amazon, and I try to keep these closer to the supplier products because I feel these are related to the supplier products, so on and so forth. So I just try to keep the buttons in the area that they correspond to. But outside of that, you can arrange them however you wish. It does not affect the program at all. So now that I have my copy and the buttons are in place, what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and click on a button. And what you will see is that when you click on a button for the first time, you're going to get a message which says authorization required. This is not an error. This is letting you know that there is a script attached to this document that needs your permission to run. All right, just read the message. A script attached to this document needs your permission to run. So they are talking about the script, which is the actual code that I have written that is attached to this Google Sheet. So you will have to click on continue in order to grant this authorization. Now the first thing you will see is choose an account to continue to. And here you will see Supplier Amazon US-CA Matcher 3.0. That is the name of the actual program. And you will simply choose the account that you are using it on. This is my account that I'm using it on, so I will select that account. And then you will get this message: Google hasn't verified this app. Again, this is not an error, and although it appears to be, they try to make it look like there's some kind of danger or threat here, there actually is not. But if you just read it, it says the app is requesting access to sensitive info in your Google account until the developer verifies this app with Google. You shouldn't use it. This is just a built-in message that Google has. Anyone who writes a script or any kind of program on a Google Sheet and then shares it even with their friend, this is what they're going to get. I even get this message on my own account when I create the program on my own account. So now I'm going to click on Advanced, and I can guarantee you there's nothing being accessed or nothing you need to worry about with this, right? Continue only if you understand the risk and trust of the developer, and it's saying that I am the developer in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Supplier, Amazon. So by the way, just to make my point, my email account is saying I am the developer and I'm accessing this on my account, and still it's telling me that I shouldn't use it and that it's dangerous, right? Even though it's for, I am the developer. So anyway, go to the Supplier, Amazon, US Canada Matcher 3.0, and you just click on it, and then you will be able to access the system. All right, and this is saying that you're going to allow the program. Basically, all this program does is search for these products on Amazon. It's not accessing emails. It's not, it doesn't do any of that. All right. Also, the program is a separate copy on your Google Drive. It's not connected to me. Once you take it and you make a copy, that's it. All right. It's completely separate from me. Okay. It has nothing to do with me. Okay. So just want to explain that. And put people at ease that is just something that Google does that you don't actually need to take that very seriously. And basically, that is the process of actually setting up for the authorization. So now we'll be able to jump into actually using the system. So now I will go to a Supplier website, which is basically an online store in this case, and I'm going to get products data and bring that product data into the system. Now, this is just an example website, so this is just for this particular example, but of course you can use many different websites, online stores, using this free Chrome extension, Instant Data Scraper. It is not programmed to work with like one website or a particular website. You can just pretty much use it on any website, but there may possibly be some websites where it might not be able to pick up the products. That is possible, but from what I've seen, it's basically worked on nearly every website that I've ever tried it on, not just online stores, not just stores, but just all kinds of websites, even YouTube, for instance. So now what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to go to Vitacost brand on Vitacost.com. This is just the example that I'm using for this particular demo. And what I will do is go ahead and I have these products. And by the way, you can navigate to a certain category if you wish. It's just whatever, you go to whichever page you want to go to. And then you click on the Instant Data Scraper. And once you click on that Chrome extension, hopefully you'll get the red box around the products. If you don't, you just click Try Another Table until the red box is around the products. You also look inside of the preview, and you want to make sure that you have URLs, which are usually the URLs. I've always seen that the URLs are in the first column, so you can see that those are the links to the actual products. If you scroll further over, eventually you should see titles, and if you go a bit further, you should see prices as well. And on some suppliers, you may also see a model number. You may see brand separate. Sometimes the brand is separate. It just really depends. But the main three things that you need is you need URLs, you need titles, and you need prices. Those are like must-haves. You need URLs in order to open the products and view them. You need titles in order to source or to match, and you need prices in order to calculate profit. So now another thing is that you can get more pages potentially. So on a supplier that has a next button, you will want to click Locate Next button. Sometimes you will not see Locate Next button. You will need to click Infinite Scroll a couple of times to get this Locate Next button option. You will then click on that Locate Next button, and you will scroll down all the way. Well, you don't actually have to scroll all the way to the bottom. There may be a next button at the top as well in this case, and then you just click on that next button. You only click that button once, don't click anything else, and then go back to Instant Data Scraper. You have just told the Chrome extension that it can click that button to get to the next page, and now you will click Start Crawling. You will see the number of pages it has picked up as well as the number of products, which will be expressed as rows collected. So you will see rows collected, and that is the number of products that is being collected in this case, right? And in this case, it will, with this particular website, it will pick up a lot of pages. I believe it may even go all the way through all the pages that are available. So we see there are about 49 pages. And so this can take some time. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to actually have it go through all of the different pages, but I will let it get, let's see, let's let it get about 12 pages, and then I'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to stop it, but you can actually let it continue, but I just click stop crawling to let it stop. I was able to get 12, actually 13 pages, 260 products. So as you can see, I could have gotten way more. Now at this point, I'm going to click on the CSV button, and that will download the file to a CSV. It is not necessary to open this CSV, but just for this video, I will open that CSV just so you can see how that CSV looks. And I will just click on it and wait for it. And it may take a while because I don't have Excel open at the moment. And I'll just processing. So if you have Excel, it'll open in Excel. You might be able to open it in another program as well. But that is the idea. I just want to show you the actual file. And again, it is not necessary to open the CSV on your computer at all, but I'm doing this for the video just for you to see the CSV file. And so as you can see, here's all the data. Here are the links. The titles are somewhere in here, as well as the prices, but it's overlapping, so it might be hard to see. But this is basically the CSV file. So now that I have downloaded the product data to a CSV, I can actually minimize Instant Data Scraper and head over to the Supplier to Amazon mattress system. And at this point, you would go to the IDS CSV, which stands for Instant Data Scraper CSV, and you will bring in the CSV data by going to File and then Import. From here, you will click on Upload, and you will click Select a file from your device. You should navigate to your Downloads folder, which is where the file should be. And in this case, it is the most recent file, Vitacost. It has an 8 in parentheses because I have downloaded that many different Vitacost files. If you have not, then you won't see an 8, you might just see Vitacost. And now I will click Open. And for import location, you need to change this from create new spreadsheet to replace current sheet. This is very important. If it goes to another sheet, that's not going to work. It has to be on this same sheet, so you have to select replace current sheet. This should say detect automatically for separator type, and convert text to numbers, dates, and formulas should be on. So in other words, just leave everything else how it is, only change this to replace current sheet. Then you want to click import data, and once you click import data, you will see data appear on your CSV, and you want to make sure clearly that you have URLs, that you have titles, and that you also have prices, and mainly just those three. But for some suppliers, you will also need the brand column, but this is for typical suppliers. Just the prices, titles, and URLs is all you will need. Now that I have imported the CSV data into the IDS CSV, I will have to set up a columns map, and this is something that you will have to do the first time that you download and import data from a supplier. You need to set up what's called a columns map, and this is the columns map sheet, IDS columns map, and I will explain what this means. Basically, a columns map means that you are taking the columns from the IDS CSV, these column headings, which are essentially, you could call them the names of each column, and you are assigning them to these up top: titles, URLs, prices, so on and so forth, and that is for use in this table where you have titles, you have brands, titles, model number, URLs, and prices. For most suppliers, however, you will only need to map titles, URLs, and prices. For many suppliers, you will only need to do these three. And you can see that I've already done a number of suppliers that are already in your copy. You will see Walmart.com there. You will see Zorro. You will see Farm and Fleet, which is a special case where they had to do an extra thing, column, which is brand. You see with Zorro, there was also model number. So you see some other situations, but the most common situation is to do titles, URLs, and prices. So now with Vitacost.com, we start in the supplier website column, and we will type in Vitacost.com and set this one up. And the first thing is to go back over to the CSV and say, well, where are the titles stored in the CSV? And here are the titles. You take that column heading, right click, and you copy that column heading. You then go back to the IDS columns map and you paste that column heading. Then head back to the IDS CSV, find the URL column. You will copy that column heading. Okay, it's usually the first column. The URLs are normally the first column, the product URLs. And you can paste that under URLs. Now I move over to prices, dollars. Now you will see prices, dollars, prices, cents. So normally you only need prices, dollars. All right, if you go back to IDS CSV, you will see the product prices all in one column of prices. The reason that there is a prices dollars, I just want to explain this, and prices cents is because for some suppliers such as Farm and Fleet, the dollars and cents are in separate columns. In the case of Vitacost, which is the case for most suppliers, the dollars and cents is all together in one price. So all you need to do is copy the X1 column heading of the prices, go back to the columns map, and just paste this in. Now I believe as far as this actual supplier Vitacost that the map may already be in your copy, but this is for you to see the process for any supplier, because the whole idea of the system is not to use it with any particular supplier. It's the fact that you can use it really with any supplier, right? So these are just some suppliers, but any supplier, it could be any obscure supplier that only few people know about, you can still work with them in the system, and that is really the advantage, one of the huge advantages of the system. Now that the columns map is finished, I will return to the main sheet where I will now import the data. Now that I have imported my data on the IDS CSV and I have created a columns map for this particular supplier, Vitacost.com, what I will do at this point is import that data into the main sheet. And the first step is that I need to choose the supplier map. This is so that the program will know which one of these maps it needs to use. So under choose supplier map, you will select it and you will click Vitacost.com as your supplier map, and then you will simply click on import instant data scraper CSV. And it may take a while for things to come in, but as you can see, the titles have come in, the URLs have come in, and it may take a bit longer for prices. Prices normally will come in last. They are further in the CSV usually, and also it has to extract the numbers from the text, like the $ or whatever else might be in those columns. So now you have your titles, you have your URLs, and you have your prices. And just so that you know, once you have the URLs in here, that will activate this link, which is your supplier link, where you can see whatever this URL is. You can see that here, the hyperlink, and you should be able to click on that and open up the product on the supplier website. And you can also Google the product if you want to do a manual search of that product title. you can do a manual search of that product title as well, of any of those product titles from your supplier. And so the next step will be to move on to the automatic matching, which will then, at that point, you'll be able to use the Amazon links. So now that I have my product data from the supplier, what I will do is I will go ahead and do the matching of the products. And just a reminder, you do not need brands in this case because you already have the brand names inside of the product titles. This is for certain suppliers, only certain suppliers that their brand is separate from their title. And there's no model number because this particular supplier did not have a model number on its products. So what I will do at this point is, first of all, you need to make sure that you're on the row where you want to start finding the URLs, because this function that we will use to automatically match the products starts wherever you are, whatever your current location is. Alright, and the highest it will start is here. So at this point I will click on Find All Amazon URLs, and I see that it begins finding Amazon URLs, and that ASINs are also going to appear for each of these URLs. And in this column I have what is called a match score. Now the match score is this is a very general way of assigning a match score. So it is meant to just give you a very general idea of the likelihood of one product being a match compared to another product, right? And really all it does is it takes this title and it looks at the words in this title and it compares it to the actual URL. If you look at an Amazon URL, it also has words in it, and it just tries to see how many of these words show up in that URL to kind of give you an idea of how close they might be, but it is not a perfect way of assigning a score to a match, but it might give you a general idea of which products are more likely to match. However, one good way to evaluate the matches is visual inspection, and that can start by simply putting the mouse pointer over this hyperlink. And for many suppliers, they will give you a preview so you can actually see what this product looks like ahead of time. And then when you point at Amazon, you will get a preview. And usually you're looking at the images, and of course we cannot rely completely on images because sometimes they use the first product image as a different image from the one that they use at the supplier, but generally it will help us a lot in determining if these are likely to be the same product when we have this preview. In many cases it will help, but in some cases the packaging might be a little different, so that is something to keep in mind. So this matching process will continue, and then at some point it will stop, and at that point I will show you what to do to get it to continue. Now after you have been matching products for a while, at some point it will stop and you will get this message. It is not an error message, exceeded maximum execution time. What happens is that there's a certain amount of time for which Google Sheets is able to keep doing these web searches. Remember, these titles are being searched on the web. This requires what are called web calls, and there's a limit to how many Google Sheets will do or how continuously it will do it. If you click on details, it will just say the same thing, exceeded maximum execution time. You can just dismiss this message. You can see that I am at row 141. That is the last row it was able to get to. What I will do is go to row 142, make sure I'm inside that row, and then I will click on Find All Amazon URLs, and it will just continue the process of finding URLs. So that is all you have to do, is you just find the spot where you left off and just continue, and it will continue finding URLs. A fast way, I should have shown you this right before I did this, but I can still do it. A quick way to get to the last row is to click inside the ASIN column, use the control button on your keyboard and press down, the down arrow, and that will always bring you to the last occupied cell in that row. and that will immediately get you to the last thing that was pulled up. Of course, products that were not matched, where no match was found at all, no URL was found, they will show up as null. So those cells are also going to be filled in, so that helps you to get to the bottom. Even if it says null, null just basically means nothing. And this will happen for some products. Some products may not even be on Amazon in some of these cases. So in some cases you may get null for that reason, or perhaps in that moment the search engine was not able to find the product. That is also a possibility. And so you can always use the Google, if you're not satisfied and you want to see for yourself what has happened with a particular product and you want to investigate it manually, you can use the Google link to automatically Google that title, that product title from the supplier, and then you can investigate further and see if you can manually find a match on Amazon. I have found in many of these cases when I do that, there is not a match, and sometimes you may get an Amazon link, but it's not a product. And this actually explains why the system was not able to find an Amazon link. It is because there was not an Amazon link, an actual product link to be found. And you can see that is it. There are no more results. And so for whatever reason, this product is not found on Amazon. And that is often why you may have a null for certain products. So this process will continue, and eventually it will stop again. And at that point, you will do exactly what I just did before. You will get that same red message. You will dismiss it. You will find the last occupied row, and you will then click Final Amazon URLs to continue the process from that point. So at this point, I believe that it is actually done matching the products. If I go in the ASINs column and I press the control button and then the down arrow, you see that it has reached the last ASIN in my list. If I had more and I wanted to continue, I would be able to simply dismiss this again, which is stopped. Click here and I would be able to continue. So in theory, you can really do an unlimited number of products, because you could always keep continuing the process with find all Amazon URLs on a longer list of products. So that is it. And now at this point, what I want to do is actually get the prices. So there are really two major ways that we can get prices for Amazon, or really three. I mean, the first one would be to do it manually, actually opening links manually and copying prices manually from Amazon. That is one choice, of course. But the other way is to use ImportXML prices. And by clicking on ImportXML prices, ImportXML is a built-in function. If you look at this formula, this is a built-in formula, or function rather, of Google Sheets called ImportXML, and it can be programmed to pull certain data from certain websites if you know how to program it. So I have programmed it to pull prices from Amazon links, and so by pressing this button, that formula will be placed there, and it will attempt to do that. This one is coming out. If you get something like that, try to change the $ format, but apparently this is just not pulling the price, it's pulling something else. But for most Amazon links, you will see that it pulls the price. Now, it is not a totally reliable thing. When I say that, if it pulls the price is correct. But what I mean is that there are certain times when it does not work very quickly, where it's slower. I think it depends on the usage, meaning the number of people perhaps using Google, perhaps using Google Sheets, perhaps using that very same ImportXML command at the same time you are. I'm not really sure, but I find that there's certain times of day when it will work better than others. Right now, I see that it's working quite well, and you can see that it's crawling down, and that as it is navigating down, it is pulling prices of these Amazon links. And that is really the goal here, just to get prices for these Amazon links. So this is one way that we can get prices onto products. This is really the only way that you're going to be able to in any way automate getting the prices in Google Sheets if you do not have software to do it. If you're not going to use the Keepa method, which is what I will demonstrate as well, then the ImportXML is going to be your only other option. And it is a functional option. It is an option that can and does work, but just want you to know that there are times when it may not work as well as others. It might be slower or might not give you prices, so just be aware of that particular factor in using ImportXML. And that is basically it. I will go on to show how to use Keepa to get the prices as well. So I currently have the ImportXML prices script running, and it is grabbing prices of Amazon URLs. But as it's doing that, something else I need to know is that for one, it's not going to get the rank at this point. Alright, as of today, it's not going to get the rank. That's something I may look into, however, using ImportXML to get the rank of products. But I'm going to scroll over and mention to you how you're going to get the what you're going to do about the FBA fee. If you need the FBA fee and you're using ImportXML, you're not going to get the FBA fee from ImportXML either, because ImportXML can only get the data that actually shows up on an Amazon product on the page. If you click on an Amazon product, the data that shows up on the page itself is the only data you will ever be able to get with ImportXML, because that is what ImportXML does, reads the page. So for the FBA fee, what you will want to do is set a generalized FBA fee. And this may require some familiarity with products. If you're not really familiar with FBA fee ranges, well, know that a small product like this, like a vitamin bottle, for instance, you might be looking at an FBA fee around the $3 area. But keep in mind, some could be 2-packs or 3-packs, so there might be some that have a higher FBA fee if it's multiple items, if it's a multi-pack. So what I might suggest is just using a general, and this might be an overestimate for a lot of products. You could use a general $4 or $5 FBA fee in this case. So let's say $4. You type that in this FBA fee box, and then you click on Set FBA Fee, and it will just insert those FBA fees in here. So now this is the ImportXML that just finished, and it went over, it ran for longer than it needed to run. So I'm going to dismiss that. And you can see that the FBA fees have filled in, all is $4. So this will give you an approximation on your FBA fees. Alright, and that is what you will do about that. There's also the referral fee. And referral fee is going to depend on the category. Many products on Amazon have a 15% referral fee. You can always refer to the Amazon fee schedule, of course, see the referral fee for the category that you are looking at, and so you can set that percentage as well if you wish. The supplier costs, you generally don't need to really do anything here unless you have a specific thing that you want to change in the supplier costs, whether it be shipping or tax percentage. If you if you have something specific you want to change there, then you can do that, and there's some columns set up here for you to enter your data there as well. But that is pretty much what you need to do to get set up in order to start calculating profit. You have your Amazon price, and once you have your fees as well, then you are good to go. But of course, if you're going to use Keepa to get the price data, you will also have the exact FBA fees that will be pulled for most ASINs using Keepa as well. Now I will show you how to get the price data as well as other data using Keepa, and it is actually quite simple. If you're using Keepa, you're going to click on Keepa and then Data, and then you will go from the Keepa Data to Product Viewer actually. And Product Viewer is a feature where you will be able to paste the ASINs and pull up the product data. So if you're not already using Keepa data features, I highly recommend it. It's going to make this system and just your overall product research for Amazon a lot better. So I do recommend using Keepa. Now what I will do is actually highlight all of these ASINs, It doesn't matter if they have the word null inside that list. It does not affect it at all. So what I'm going to do is actually a quick way to highlight the whole column is Control on the keyboard. Control, Shift, and the down button will actually highlight all of that at once, because imagine if you have hundreds of ASINs, right? You may not want to actually drag the mouse down that far. So just Control Shift down on the keyboard and then right click and copy, and you can copy all of these ASINs at once. As you can see, all of the ASINs have been selected and copied. Now I will go to the Keepa Data Product Viewer and I will paste the ASINs right in here and click on this checkbox. So this is really good because it's not like you have to prepare a CSV. You literally can just paste the ASINs right in here and click Load List. So this is very convenient. Sometimes there may be one or even a couple ASINs that are not able to return any result in Keepa. This is the ASIN for whatever reason. So I will just X that out. However, all these other product ASINs did show up. You can see images and you can see lots of product data for these products. I will now just export, click on export here to export it to a CSV. You want all the active columns and you want a CSV format, and then you will click export. Now you have a download of the Keepa export CSV. At this point you will return to your Supplier Amazon mattress system. You close this at the bottom and you will go to the Keepa CSV sheet tab. Once you get there, you're going to click on File and then Import, Upload, select a file from your device and find the Keepa export file. Alright, that should be your most recent download. From there you will click Open and you will simply select Replace Current Sheet and Import Data, and now the Keepa CSV has been added to your Keepa CSV sheet. So there's lots of data in here, lots of data from Keepa. And so what I will do now is go back to Supplier Amazon Data, and all I really need to do is go ahead and click Import Keepa Data. Now Import Keepa Data, the way I have it set up as of today, it will go through everything. It will go through all the products from beginning to end, all these ASINs, and try to pull product data. So you click on Import Keepa Data, it will go through every single ASIN, and it will try to pull product data for these ASINs. So now what will happen is that it will place a formula. It will use what are called database formulas to look up this ASIN inside of this Keepa CSV, to look for it and to find its corresponding data in the Keepa CSV, and then it will bring that data back right here into the sheet, and that is what this formula does. And so you will get the prices, you will also get the ranks. I did also want you to see that the FBA fees are also coming in. I wanted you to actually see that process happen. Control down, well, it went too far down. Let's see if we can see it. It might still be running. So these FBA fees did just get pulled in. I wanted to see if we could see it happen in action, but we did pull in these FBA fees. Let's see if we can see it. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so you can see now it is possible that some products do not have an FBA fee available yet on Amazon. Alright, and Keepa may not have been able to pick those up. What I believe is that there are products that have not ever been done as an FBA product, and therefore Amazon simply doesn't have that FBA data there. You will have to use the FBA calculator, and this is for people who are doing, I know not everyone is doing FBA, but I have to mention it because it is a very specific fee that is on Amazon, and of course many people do use FBA, myself included. If you're doing fulfilled by merchant, obviously you're going to deal with the shipping column and just put a number in there instead per individual product, or come up with a general shipping cost. But for anyone doing FBA, this is how you're going to get your fees. All right, and so we see it made it all the way to the bottom, and it was able to get most of the data that we wanted was pulled in. Of course, we have these which are null, so of course they don't, you don't get data for nothing, obviously. And once you have this data in, you're immediately able to see the estimated profit for products that have a complete data report. You can see the estimated profit. For profits with products, well, these are obviously absent products. There's nothing here, so yeah, of course you have nothing for those. But if there is an actual product that has absent profit data, if you see that, it might mean that Keepa put a dash instead of an FBA fee for a particular product or something like that. So you can always, you don't have to really look out for that, but if you see that, you can always you kind of check that product out and see what's going on if you wish, but just something to be aware of. That'll make more sense if you actually see it happen. So at this point, I believe I'll move on to looking at filtering the data results that we have. The data or import XML prices, being that it is using a formulas to pull this data either from the Keepa CSV or directly from the website with ImportXML. You don't want these formulas to stay, because when Google Sheets refreshes, which it does refresh automatically, it will reload these formulas, and we don't necessarily want it to do that. So what you want to do is click on Stamp Amazon Data. Stamp Amazon Data will take the data that is here, remove the formula, and just replace it with the actual data that was found. And so now the data becomes essentially stamped onto the sheet, permanent data, and that is why I call it stamp data. And so that is what you would want to do in this case, and that includes the FBA fee as well, which also had a formula that was pulling it from the Keepa CSV. And so all of that will now be actual data, so that way when the Google Sheet refreshes, it's not going to reload and refresh and cause problems. And so I will, and yep, that's it for stamp Amazon Data. Filter and sort data. Now, Google Sheets and Excel both have a filter option that you can apply whenever you have a data table like this. And data filter is an option right on the menu. You can use data create a filter or data remove a filter to remove the filter. Now, when you get the system, the filter will likely already be turned on for these headings, column headings, but I want you to see the process of actually doing it. So one way to do it is to click on the actual row number, and that will just select all the way across, and that is really the quickest way to get all of these column headings selected all across. And at that point, you will click on data and create a filter, and it will create a filter, and you'll see the filter symbol next to each column heading. And when you're ready to remove that filter, you will use data remove filter. One time that you will definitely want to remove the filter is if you are finished with a table, and then you want to erase the tables and bring in new data and start all over again with new products. You will definitely want to remove the filter and make sure there's nothing stuck, so to speak. That will make more sense as you work with the system some more, but that's just something I wanted to put out there. But right now, I just want to work with the filter itself. So click on the number 5, data, create a filter, and that's the filter back on again. Okay, and now what I will use the filter to do is I will use the filter to separate profitable items. And again, this is just estimated profit, but to separate items that are shown up as profitable in green and those that are not, or are not showing anything at all. And to do that, I will click on estimated profit per ASIN column heading. I will click on the filter option here, that little filter button, and I will go to filter by color, filter by color. And then you will select fill color dark green 1. And that is how you will just filter only things that are shown profitable. Now, if you want, You can also, if you want to be a little more advanced, you could do something like ROI, for instance, and you could say filter by condition, and you could say select here greater than or equal to, and then you can actually put a number. For instance, you could say, well, I only want 50% ROI or greater, for instance, and then you could apply that filter, and only those with a 50% ROI or greater will be showing. And even though it's estimated, it's going to, in general, help you to try to target certain products. This is going to work best when the larger your product list is, the better these kind of filtering this way, the more effective, I should say, it will be. If I want to remove this particular condition, I can then try to remove it, but it feels like there's going to be almost like more work to do that. I often find it quickest to just go to data, remove filter, and just bring it back. Data, create a filter, bring this back, and then just go ahead and put it back to whatever it is that you want. I'm going to do filter by color, fill color green again, but this time I'm not going to work with the ROI. But what you can do, actually, if you do want to work with the ROIs, you can do ROI sort Z to A. This is another option. Instead of filtering the ROI, you can do sort Z to A, and that will put the largest ROI on top first. Alright, so this is pretty much how you can use the filter to kind of organize things. Now, another thing you might be thinking about is rank, right? You may also be thinking about match score, because it kind of implies the general likelihood of you having an actual successful match. But of course, just general advice, you don't want to try to do too many things at once as far as filtering and sorting, right? Thinking about too many things at once, because really matching is not a perfected technology. Even with sourcing software, even with expensive sourcing software, you see incorrect matches because it's not an exact science. And so really you want to kind of prioritize finding products that are potentially profitable and that match, and then I say worry about the other things later. Alright, so that is pretty much the way I approach this, and it's just a suggestion, but you can use this the way you want to. But I really suggest focusing more on the actual matching of the products and the profit above anything else. Alright, and generally I have found that when you have a 50% score or higher, that's pretty good for a product match. However, is it possible for the match score to be under 50 and it still matches? Yes, it's very possible. So that's something to keep in mind. And you can start to open these links and compare these products to see what is going on with these products. So once you have filtered and sorted the products, you can start comparing them. And so in this segment, I just want to show you how to approach this. You can of course use the product previews as a strong indicator of product matches. You can think about the match score. Generally, I find that a match score of 50% or above are generally pretty good. However, it doesn't mean that a match score below 50 is not a match. It's just gives you kind of a general idea and helps you to navigate a little faster. And so you click the link to open the product at the supplier. You see the product at the supplier. You then click another link to open the product on Amazon, the equivalent product, and then you can see the product on Amazon as well. And of course, this is where visual inspection is very necessary by an actual human being who can verify that these are the same product, mainly by the title and the information supplied elsewhere, and we can see that this is the same product. This is a Chrome extension seller assistant app that I highly recommend for this process of calculating profit even more instantly. You can simply pop in the cost of goods, and it will already account for the fees for you and tell you what kind of profit or return on investment you could expect to make on these products. You can clearly see a higher return on this product here. So it's very, I don't want to say lucky, but very fortunate to find something profitable right off the bat right on the top this way as your first product. So that's pretty good, but of course it also depends on the business model that you are using. If you're doing fulfilled by merchant, might not be profitable because your shipping fee might be higher potentially, but it depends. For a vitamin bottle in a very small package, might actually shipped within the US at least, which is where I am. Perhaps you could still get a very low shipping cost for this and perhaps make a profit. So that is something you then have to figure out. And that is pretty much the process. You will just continue that same process, going from one product to the next. And at that point is when I then suggest you can think about things like the rank and the sales. Once you have verified that the products do in fact match and that there's some potential profitability on the product, then you can think about the rank and things like that afterwards. And you do have the rank here. If you're using Keepa, you will have that rank data. If you're not using it, it's fine. You can always examine the rank down on the lower part of the page, right? Usually products have a rank indicated somewhere on the page, and you can always scroll down, oh, here it is, and find the bestseller rank here. And for sales, there's a Jungle Scout estimator, free estimator tool that you can use as well, and use that BSR and try to get an idea of estimated sales. And that is basically what you want to do. I mean, the process would just be the same for every other product, so I won't go through the process here in this video. I have plenty of videos where I have done that. This is just a general tutorial, and you will just continue the process from there. What I do suggest is that where it says match score, that you can actually just delete that. Is really, you know, once you have verified one way or the other, it's kind of a useless number in that case. So you at that point, so you could simply put match here. You could put profitable match as well. And what I will suggest also is that you use some kind of template to store these products. This is not a product database. This is a product research system. So what does that mean? It means I did not design this for you to store the products here in the system permanently. This is just a place to kind of navigate, find the products. So what you can actually do is you can take the product data, keep your own template. I have a template, an Amazon research template you can use, and I would suggest you can use this. You can put your supplier data here, your price, your supplier, your URL, and all of that. You can paste your ASIN here, FBA fee, and whatever else you need. Now, if you don't have a Chrome extension, you can get your FBA fee over here where it says fulfillment by Amazon. This FBA revenue calculator, which is on Seller Central. You will simply drop, I will do a quick demonstration. You will simply take the ASIN and drop that ASIN in here and click search. And then you will go to the bottom and click calculate, and it will show you a FBA fee of $3.54, the same thing that you were getting with the Seller Assistant app. If it does not have an FBA fee, do understand, even if you had the app, you wouldn't get the fee. If Amazon doesn't have the fee, it's because they don't know what the fee is yet. You will have to enter dimensions and weight, and then they will be able to tell you the FBA fee at that point. Same thing with Seller Assistant app. If you don't see an FBA fee here for any reason, then you're going to have to go here anyway, and so it's good to know how to use this as well. And you can see links. I should have links for you to get to this, but you can really just Google FBA calculator on Amazon and find it very easily. And this is the Amazon fee schedule for the referral fee, so both of those are very easy to do. And that will pretty much be the process of exploring, or rather investigating the products, making sure that they match, and analyzing the profit. So although the data is captured in the sheet from the supplier, and of course Amazon data is also captured in the sheet, and profit is calculated, you may not actually want to work with your product list right here within the system. And in fact, you may want to create a copy of this data and calculations that you can share with a team who can then together run through these different products and help you navigate this large number of products and determine, verify matches, and determine profitability. So to do that, what you would want to do is export the data onto a separate sheet. So I have a function that already does that. You will click on export all data, and by all data it means pretty much everything from here below. So from this cell, all of these column headings and below will be exported onto an export sheet, which is here. And what will remain is the actual formulas. These links will still be active. So the link to supplier products, the supplier links, the Google link, if you want to do a manual search on the titles, the Amazon link of the Amazon URLs that were found are still here. Also, the formulas and calculations for the supplier cost. So if you adjust, for instance, a fee, or if you were to add shipping, if I were to add $5 shipping here, you would see that profit decrease. All right, so the profit formulas are still there. The ROI formulas are still active. So you can still make changes. You can change fees, as I said, a referral fee. If it's a multi-pack and it turns out to be 2 items per ASIN, you can change that as well. And all of these things will still be reflected in the formulas, just like they are in the original sheet. And the great thing is that you don't have to work with this file here. You can actually take this and you can copy it to a new spreadsheet. Now, one thing I would suggest is that you go to View, Freeze, One Row, keep this first row frozen, so as your users are scrolling downward, that they can still see the column headings. And you also maybe from, I'm not sure where I would want to freeze it. Perhaps you can kind of decide where you want to freeze it. Let's say you froze the columns right here. You would do View, Freeze, up to column I, for instance, and it will keep everything from here to I still while you scroll this. Right, that way you can keep that still, but you can scroll over, and just makes it more convenient to use. You can scroll down, and that is what I always do with the systems I create. I add that column freeze and that row freeze so you can navigate a large number of columns more easily. And then once you do that, you can do copy to. So you right click down on the bottom on the actual sheet tab, copy to a new spreadsheet, which is really a new Google sheet, and then you can open that spreadsheet, and now you have a new spreadsheet. And of course you will need to name that sheet, give that sheet a name before you can share it. So you'll name that spreadsheet. For instance, I would call this Vitacost brand products, let's say. Brand Amazon products. Right? Oops, keep doing typos. And then at this point you could easily share the file with other users or whoever is going to potentially help you with this products list. So that is a very important thing and going to be helpful. Also, even if you're working alone, this is a way to separate your results and store your results in another file. So that way when you return to the system, if you're ready to work with a new set of data, you've already saved the findings from your last run permanently somewhere, so that you're not just erasing them and losing them. Keep in mind that because this filter is on right now, the only thing that was copied are the things that are showing up right now. If you wanted to copy everything, meaning every single product regardless of profit, you would do data remove filter, right, clicking on that row, and then you would export, and then that would have copied everything, right? So being that I had it filtered only for green profit, only green profit products were copied, and that might be what you want. Or you might want to go ahead and do all of them, because sometimes there might be something going on with these that might be interesting, or these just might be good product matches that you want to be aware of, because sometimes items do go on sale. Like this item just went on sale, I believe, and so it's still good to just have those matches. So you might still want to keep all of this data as well. And that is pretty much it for exporting data. And again, if your buttons move, I've gone over this in another part of the video, as my buttons just did, you can just drag, click the buttons and just drag, right click and just drag them back over and where they need to be, or just leave them if they're not, you just need to remember what they do. But really the FBA buttons, I would want those to be more closer to the FBA fees over here. So I will drag those over there as well, and we just replace that. And that is about it. So that's it. Basically, I think this might be the last video basically explaining the system. The only other thing would be resetting the system. If you are going to reset it, I might as well do it here. If you're going to reset the system, you can go ahead and just click clear buttons. And one thing I'm considering to do for an update is to actually have a clear all that will just clear everything with one button. And so that might be convenient, but for now you can just you will clear the product data, clear the instant data. You can even clear the export data if you're done with that as well. I've already exported to a separate file, and of course you'd want to clear your Keepa CSV and clear your Amazon data. And once all of those are clear, you're ready to reuse the file again. The only thing on the export sheet is just the colors, but you see the data is gone. Keepa CSV is blank, IDS CSV is blank. Columns map stays. This is permanent. Next time you go back to the supplier vital cost, the map is already done. You don't have to keep doing the map for the same supplier over and over again. And you will if you go to a new supplier, of course you will set up a new map, so on and so forth, and just go back on the other videos and see how everything is done. And that is pretty much it for your general overview and training on using the Supplier Amazon Matcher and Profit Calculator